it, you guys. I'm probably going to be a little rusty because I did take 2 weeks off, or it's been like 2 weeks since I filmed a video. And in today's video, I wanted to take it easy and just do a sketchbook spread dedicated to another dog that I work with, because if you didn't know, I work at a dog kennel. And this particular spread is for a Great Pyrenees mix named Tucker. So if watching me paint these dogs and chat about Tucker sounds like something you would enjoy, I'm your Fluent. Feel free to call me Rory. If you're new around here, hi, hello, how are you? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I like to create dope art content and hopefully curate a chill atmosphere. And if you're not new around here, what is up, my dudes? Let's get into this video. So I, out of boredom last week, just kind of sat down and started sketching this spread out, and then realized, oh shit, people like to see my sketching process. I need to record this. So going on to the second page of the spread, I started a recording, and you can see here that I'm currently doodling Tucker, and I'll end up with a couple other like floofier dogs in the top left corner of the left page. You'll see them here, but these first two doodles are of Tucker, and as I mentioned in the intro, I work at a local dog kennel that also happens to be a rescue, and so Tucker is one of our rescues currently. Fingers crossed, he may be getting a home this week, so let's all be very hopeful for Tucker and his meet and greet. We all feel really good about it. They have like 5 acres of fenced-in land, which for a Great Pyr, and he's a mix of something really, really strange, a very specific, very large breed of cattle dog. So that much land just sounds like absolutely amazing for him, and we are all very, very excited. The people live in Wisconsin, so we are meeting them halfway and letting them have a meet and greet with Tucker to see how he might fit in with them and react to them and their other dog. And if it all goes well, we should hopefully be able to complete the adoption process and get him to them, which is just so exciting. But what originally started this sort of idea for this spread was specifically the fact that it was like dumping rain one day at the kennel while we were walking dogs, and we were letting them outside to pee and go potty real fast, and Tucker was just absolutely obsessed with the rain. He loved it, and specifically, he loved rolling around in this really fucking giant puddle, which, of course, the Great Pyr with, what's it called when they have like 2 coats of fur, and it's thick and dense. It's not impacted, but it is, it's well taken care of, but after rolling around in the puddle, I wouldn't say that it looked the best, that's for sure. And they can be really difficult to dry, and you gotta be careful with the way that they, you groom them, and we have groomers that work at the kennel, so we had to wait until, they were in to get him kind of washed and groomed properly. But all that being said, he was obsessed with this puddle. He adored it. He wanted to play in it. He wanted to play with you in it. He did not want to leave it alone. And specifically on the other page of this spread, you'll see the sketch that kind of started this spread, themed after that little story. I also really like to call him Mr. Fish, and that's because he loves the pond that we have at the kennel. He spends most of his time there, and he just, not only is it the biggest yard, so he gets to just run around in it, but also there is obviously a pond, and Tucker really likes to just stand in the pond and cool off. But again, with his fur, we have to be careful, and we are as careful as we can be. But he loves it, and so I call him Mr. Fish because when he's jumping around in the pond, he's flopping around like a fish, and the deep end for most dogs is actually just like a shallow end for Tucker, and it's very funny. When he stands like straight up, like on his back legs, let's see, I'm like 5 foot tall, and he stands above me, so like we're talking a good 5.5, 6 feet of dog. Like, it's insane. He is fucking huge. I believe the other dog that he's mixed with is Anatolian Shepherd. We did, every once in a while we get I keep like starting a sentence and cutting myself off. But every once in a while we'll get DNA tests for the dogs, the rescues, especially the ones that look particularly strange. And Tucker, we really wanted to know what he was mixed with because it was clear he was a Great Pyr, but we didn't really know what else. And he's just so massive that there was no way he was only Pyr, even though they are a very large dog breed. And so when the DNA results came back, he's also Anatolian Shepherd. So he's literally like 50-50 Great Pyr, Anatolian Shepherd, and that's all that's in him. And he's got this really nice like white color, which I kind of just took some liberties and painted him like a soft beige color and then put white and like this blue black on top of it. But he's very much like he has the patterning of like a cow or cattle, and so it's very funny to see him wandering around the yards because he's just this stark white with these black splotches all over him, and he's just a fluffy beast. He's like a year and a half old at this point, and oh my god, he acts probably like a 6-month-old puppy. Like, he has no idea what he's doing. He has no idea that his size is like way bigger than a normal dog, and he just loves to kind of shove you around accidentally. Like, he doesn't mean to, but a light brushing against you is enough to like topple you over from Tucker. So we all have to kind of watch our backs with him, because if he gets too rowdy, he has taken me straight onto my back. Like, he has run through my legs, thrown me up in the air, and I've landed on my straight on my ass. Like, it's crazy. But he's just like stupid strong and a giant baby. You can see on the page here, I'm starting with this sketchbook page that you guys kind of could see from start to finish with my sketches and then painting it. And I've got like 2 little floofy guys in the top, and I end up removing what this blue blob was supposed to be, which was a dog, but it's okay. And we work with it, and then we've got kind of a fluffy Tucker like laying down in the grass. And it was funny trying to find references for him in my camera roll, because he doesn't fucking sit still. So it was like impossible to find good references. I basically had to like piecemeal together a bunch of references and like look at them to create a full like 360 view in my head of what Tucker looks like, and it was very amusing to me. I kind of ran out of references, which is why I kind of drew these other 2 like floofy dogs, just because I don't know, I wanted to. And honestly, I really liked the way that this like purpley brown one turned out. I think he's just very squishy and very cute, and I like the way his paws look. So I'm pretty happy with these 2 little doodles, and you'll see kind of like as the Tucker ones progress, you'll kind of get a better idea for what I was trying to do with him. I've talked about a lot recently the fact that I feel like I've come into my style, sort of like leveled up in my art game, and this spread is definitely a good example of that. You can even see here on the rightmost sketchbook page that there's this little doodle of a different dog in that bottom corner where my hand is currently, and that is Marshall, because I had this image of Marshall and I didn't feel like I did it justice when I painted him in my last spread of like regarding painting dogs and talking about the kennel. And so I wanted to throw him in here in the corner because I felt like I could draw him better. And I did. And I love this sketch. Like, oh my God. I feel like I embodied how Marshall feels to me so much in this spread. And I was really just kind of trying to take a lot of liberties with these dogs and kind of try to figure out their personality and how they kind of look to me or how I perceive them. And yeah, I really enjoyed doing that with Tucker and then with this little doodle of Marshall. And so I want to continue moving forward with sort of like, I guess, like I was saying, my perception of these dogs rather than focusing on following the reference to an exact T. To talk a little bit as to how Tucker came to us, he actually had a sibling, and the woman who housed these 2 dogs ended up having to leave the place that she was renting. I'm not sure if it was a house or an apartment, but either way, she ended up having to leave that place. And because of that, she had to find somewhere for Tucker to go, because all of the rental properties that she could afford would not take a dog as big as Tucker, even though he was super friendly and just a puppy. And so she ended up coming to Promway, the rescue that I work at, and surrendering him. And so that's how we ended up with big old Tucker. He adjusted really quickly, which is not normal for dogs that are surrendered, especially ones coming from a really good life, and it definitely seemed like he was loved. But Tucker, from start to finish, has been just a happy-go-lucky, fun, playful puppy, and it's been really nice to see, because sometimes it can be a lot being around these dogs that are constantly stressed or just angry and upset and confused. And with Tucker, he had none of those negative emotions. He was just kind of like, yeah, I'm here. Hi, guys. Oh, you're bringing me treats? Thank you. And he kind of just would like be like, oh, excuse me, and like run into you. And he was just always very happy and very fun. And I appreciate that working at a rescue, where it can be a little depressing sometimes. But I definitely will say working at a kennel and rescue, like they're both combined and under the same name, I'm definitely not faced with as much trauma and as much sadness, I would say, as someone working at like a pound or a humane society or anything like that. The dogs that we get are generally, I wouldn't say they're in better condition, because we have had dogs that have been malnourished or abused or have like really crazy anxiety levels and everything in between. But I would say that generally the dogs are happier at the rescue that I work at, because they get more one-on-one time with people. People can take them out. People can walk them. Now, none of us have walked Tucker because he's really big, really strong, and if he wanted to go somewhere, he would just take you with him. And that's obviously not really something that the rescue wants to be liable for. So none of us have walked Tucker, but again, we do let him out into the pond yards to run around and play quite often, so he gets plenty of exercise. And I think that's one of the main reasons why the dogs are happy at the rescue that I work at, because they do get outside time. I don't always agree with the fact that it's like, I don't always agree with how long they get. Personally, I think that we could do longer sometimes, but I will say that they are generally in better spirits than any dog that you might find at the pound. And Tucker, no matter where he would be, I have a feeling would just be the same happy-go-lucky little shit that he is, or very large shit, I guess. He's a total pain in the ass, but I do love him, and I will be sad to see him go. Obviously happy for real, but I'll be a little sad because he is just so fun. But it'll open up a spot to hopefully allow us to take in another rescue, and that's definitely my favorite part of the job, is seeing these dogs go and getting more, so that we can just constantly be treating these dogs that might otherwise be mistreated in a way that they deserve. That is to say, to be happy. We also had a smaller dog go this week, so at the place that I work, they always say it goes in threes, so Tucker is next week, or this week, going to have his meet and greet, and then a little dog named Vivian left us this week, and then a dog, our longest dog, who's been here for 2 years, named Phoenix. He's a bully as it gets, honestly. He's up for a meet and greet this week as well. I believe it's happening today, so I am very, very excited. Phoenix and another dog named Mac are 2 bully breeds that I have fallen in love with. I adore them, and I want them to be adopted so bad, but they are going to be absolutely heartbreaking to lose and to not be a part of my life anymore. I go out of my way to walk both of them, take them to parks, take them to my backyard. I do as much with them as I can. But that's probably information for another video when I paint Phoenix or Mac, or maybe Phoenix and Mac, we'll see. But going back to Tucker, he's one of those dogs that just has like an endless amount of energy. You have no idea where it's coming from, but it's just always flowing out of him. And he's so weird. Like when he starts to play with shit, he kind of just like if you give him a really big treat, he'll sort of throw it up in the air and start like tossing it and playing fetch with himself, and then eventually eating it, but only sometimes. And then like he'll get the zoomies and he'll run with the treat in his mouth, and then halfway through he'll drop it, and then he'll do like a few more laps around the yard and like go searching for it later. And it's just very funny because it's like, Tucker, what the hell are you doing? And I suppose as a slight update, Marshall was put on medication because behavioral therapy wasn't exactly an option, since no one could foster him or was able to at the time foster him, and behavioral therapy tends to work best when you have sort of like a stable environment, and as much as we try at the kennel, it's just not stable at all. You know, you have people covering shifts for each other, feeding a little bit later or sooner than everybody else. I'm really not sure. It's just like, there's not really a good way for us to be able to build the kind of structure that behavioral therapy would work best in. And so He was started on some long-term anxiety meds that were hopefully going to help him. If you didn't watch my video about Marshall, he has these very random, very aggressive episodes where he's resource guarding and he sort of chooses what he's resource guarding. Sometimes it's his kennel, sometimes it's a swing, sometimes it's a toy or a hole in the yard, sometimes it's an entire yard, and we just don't know. So that was making it really difficult for all of us to interact with him because me specifically, I went out with him one day. I had been trying to build a better bond with him. He'd been here for 3 or 4 months and I just wanted to make sure that he felt safe. I was outside with him. Long story short, he buried a toy. He ended up cornering me on this little swing that we have, snarling, growling, and it came out of nowhere. He approached me, put his head in my lap. I was petting his ears and then all of a sudden, boom, he was totally flipped. And so I backed away. I was able to get away from him and inside, and since then he's sort of flipped in his kennel to a few different coworkers, and it's just gotten to the point where he needed help, and it was very clear that he needed help. So we took him to the vet. Personally, I think even just a behavioral therapist for a checkup would have been nice, but that being said, he was taken to the vet. They give him fluoxetine, I believe, and fluvoxetine, that's what it's called. And it's basically like a long-term anxiety med. It treats a lot of sort of anxious tendencies in dogs. It can kind of just help level out their hormones, is my understanding of it, and just help them be more like themselves and not be overcome by these tendencies and emotions. So it's not like trazodone where it's like almost like a sedative. It doesn't really make him sleepy or even work right away. It's a very long-term med, so it's been 3 or 4 weeks since he's been put on it. He stopped eating the first 2 weeks, but since then he has started eating, and he has yet to have an episode with anybody, so that's really encouraging. Most of us are still a bit scared to go outside with him, so he's not getting crazy socialized at the moment, which will be the next step in his sort of like recovery process. We want to make sure that he's not afraid of people, or that he can just continue to be socialized and around people. So the people who are not afraid of him at the moment do go out with him for at least a little bit, but he still has some odd quirks and tendencies that we're just trying to keep an eye on and keep everybody safe. But that being said, he is improving greatly on the fluvoxetine, I think. Jesus, how many times can I try and say that and fuck it up? But yeah, he is improving, and he's not having those very stressful episodes for both him and us, and it definitely seems to be relaxing him a bit. There's a lot more happy tail wags, a lot more taking treats gently from people. I can even pet him on the head, which was definitely not something that I would be brave enough to do a month ago. He would snarl and growl and lunge at the front of his kennel at me and a couple other coworkers, and there were people that he was also consistently fine with, and so that's what also made it incredibly strange. It wasn't all resource guarding. It wasn't all what do they call it? Barrier aggression. It wasn't one thing or another, or food aggression. It was just, it wasn't even specific people. It was, every other day a different person, and then he'd be fine with me and not okay with a coworker, and then okay with that coworker and not fine with me, and it would just kind of bounce around. So the fluvoxetine, helping his mind settle and putting him at ease, has been really, really nice to see. Returning to what I'm doing currently in the sketchbook spread, I will definitely say that this entire spread came together very last minute. It was sort of like, it felt like one of those moments of throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, which I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing me talk about because I say that quite a lot, but with this particular spread, it definitely felt like that. I was like, oh my god, I thought I, had really good sketches, and the way that I'm painting them right now is fucking ruining them, and that's terrible. But I just kept at it, kept using, gouache to cover anything up that I didn't like, persevering, and just sort of editing until I liked what I had on the page. And, these sketchbook spreads, they do take me a lot longer than Procreate paintings, which I've talked about before. It's just sort of like a process thing. It weirdly comes more naturally for me to work on Procreate. And if you know anything about my background, it is definitely not based in digital work. So it's been very funny to see the progress that I've been able to make so rapidly in Procreate. I suppose I'll go ahead and let you guys see these final details as the spread comes together, and then I'll come back for a little closing statement per usual. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I actually really enjoyed the fact that it came together pretty slowly, and it sort of all just started to fit together like puzzle pieces at the end, and I just had a lot of fun just sort of like drawing little doodles, filling up the space. That's what I've been really into lately, and I feel like this is another really successful sketchbook page, which is just super encouraging and exciting, because if you know anything about me, you know that my sketchbook has been a fucking battle for a long time. So it's been really nice to see this sort of level up in my art and in my traditional skill set, and actually creating sketchbook spreads that I'm just really proud of and really happy to have you guys be a part of. Feel free to do all the YouTube things like comment and subscribe. And if you don't know what to comment, go ahead and comment algorithm because it just kind of helps. So with all of that being said, thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. And hopefully I'll get to talk to you in the next one. Bye!